DDG episode 122. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
How's it going, Dave? We're going to have to rename this podcast the Elden Reign Witch Queen podcast. It's very difficult to say.
I didn't play that much Witch Queen this week because I wasn't home. Although my PlayStation did go with me, and I did play some Destiny, but not a lot. Because
you had Destiny on in the hopes and dreams section of your trip.
I had a little bit of downtime, but so we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that uploads every Thursday on podcast services around the world. We are live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming, Tuesday nights. Today is our normal time, about 6:30 Eastern time, but it's pretty standardly Tuesday nights. Standardly, yeah, that's my word.
Great way to start. If this is your first time listening to this on the podcast feed, this is what to expect.
So typically it's Tuesday.
Fuck up words later.
Typically it's Tuesday night for streaming, and then it's always Thursday morning for uploading, unless you're a Patreon subscriber at the $5 or higher tier, and you get the podcast Wednesday morning. So like the next day after we record live. So if you want it sooner, you can subscribe to Patreon that way. And other than that, all the other links are in the show notes. Join the community, Facebook, Discord, Twitter, Patreon, Teesprings. All that stuff is in the show notes. Great time to buy some hoodies because it's actually kind of like hoodie weather. You can go outside in jeans and a hoodie right now. This is like the best time of year. As long as the wind's Saturday. Not blowing. And like, it was so cold in North Carolina. Like, so cold. I was okay, but everybody that was around my brother's family was like in big, heavy winter coats and hats, and like.
I have we're in the middle of the Midwest fuck you weather where it's just like a 60 today, 25 tomorrow.
Yeah, or you got to pump, you don't have this problem as much as I do because you don't drive nearly as much as I do, but it's like you're scraping the car on the way to work in the morning and then you're blasting the air conditioning on the way home.
We're in that section of the weather.
All right, we are going to jump right into the news because I don't think Michael and I played a lot of stuff. I think he played Elden Ring, and I played driving North Carolina and back in a 4-day window. Yeah. So, but we do have some news to talk about, so we're going to jump right into that.
Yeah, the first bit is the state of play that was last week. The state of play that Sony did warn everybody about, that it was only 20 minutes. It was mostly Japanese publishers, and they said, do not expect any hardware announcements, anything crazy. Do not expect that.
And people still got mad that it wasn't there.
Yep. After we talked, I think that day and the day after, I was just reading, people hyping up what's going to be there. And for the most part, I think we kind of nailed it. We said Forspoken would be there. I think you wanted 16 to be there, but I said we'll get that Stranger's Paradise for sure. Mm-hmm. And then you said we'd get Ghostwire, which we did get some Ghostwire. So not a ton of crazy things announced.
Some pretty cool stuff, though.
Yeah, the first one, I just made a quick rundown. Again, anytime I do this, I just assume stuff that Dave would like and hope I don't miss. The first one is Exo Primal. Which looks like this Dino Crisis meets EDF, so Earth Defense Force, where it's just it
looked cool, and people are like, if you were gonna do, I don't know enough about Dino Crisis, but essentially what I saw on social media after this was announced was, if you're gonna do this, you should have just done Dino Crisis, I guess.
Well, the producer of Dino Crisis, or one of them, is working on this, so there is going to be some of that DNA, but it looks like they're just going with kind of a silly Earth Defense Force vibe, maybe a little bit of Monster Hunter thrown in there. It looks kind of fun. It looks really stupid as well, which makes it look fun.
It's a Michael game.
Yes, for sure. I mean, we're just dropping velociraptors from the sky. It looked like it'll have loot and exosuits for Dave, in terms of hey, he likes collecting guns and looking cool. And I just
likes doing ridiculous things. So
yeah,
we might actually play this game together.
Yeah, there's a chance. This is coming out in 2023. It should, hopefully. Though it's from Capcom, I believe, so it's just hopefully it's a little bit better co-op than Monster Hunter. Though Monster Hunter
Hunter's co-op works. You just had to jump through a flaming swirling hoop to get it to connect. But once you connected, you were fine. So.
You were totally totally fine. It was just getting there that was a pain.
It's like friend codes for Switch on steroids.
Basically. God, remember you'd have to go to like a bulletin board and that whole thing. God.
Your head's
I put so much
about it.
I put so many hours into that game. Couldn't skip. The person in your party hasn't watched the cutscene. They can't play with you right now. We also got more for Spoken, which makes sense because there was the delay news just a day before. The thing I think Dave would be the most interested in, but it also teeters on the old game is old. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection, which is
totally play this stuff with Owen though, so I can.
It's 13 Ninja Turtles games from like the NES to the Genesis, and even some Game Boy games in there. So a bunch of
it's like $40
Turtle
too.
stuff.
Like this is like almost like an insta buy. Like it's just to collect because I mean, you guys all know listening to me for a while. Like I love the Ninja Turtles. I want so badly want Rocksteady to do a Ninja Turtles game. Shredder's Revenge needs to get a goddamn release date. And this,
especially now with this out, it's just like, come on, we need to line this up.
But this would be fun. Like something I could play with Owen. Something that, you know, like a lot of these turtle games that I remember from a long time that I actually remember playing and trying to put any significant time into them were at the time quarter eaters, like at the arcade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and now these should be, you know, kind of upscaled a little bit. I am disappointed that I saw and I guess for it being $40, I have to accept it, but it sucks that I just keep seeing the 4.3 ratio.
Yeah, but if you remember, Ubisoft redid Turtles in Time, and why it went widescreen, it just didn't work well.
I do think that I'm going to. I mean, I know I'm going to buy this, and I do think that I will probably play it for like a week, and I'll talk about it on the podcast, and then I just won't play it anymore, unless I have someone over and we want to play like the fighting games on there. Like I don't really remember dabbling in the fighting games that much at all. So that's definitely of interest to me. And then playing some of the arcade things, but I also feel like as an example, like Turtles in Time, the SNES port. If me and a good friend of mine that are decent at video games sit down and play this, like we're beating this in like 3 hours.
Yeah, this is the perfect thing of like you have the in-laws over or something, or you just have some people over that aren't really that into video games. You could throw this on. Yep. They'll be totally happy. It does have online play, so you could potentially get them to be like, hey, pick this up when you get home, and we'll just go through all 13 games, though some of them are fighting games.
It's still cool. Like I think it's great that they're doing something like this, and the fact of it that it's just so many games, especially when you see something like, I'm not comparing the two of them, but like the GTA trilogy is $40 and it's 3 games, and then this 13 game collection, there's a couple Game Boy games in there, but even so 8 or 9 games are $40. Like this is cool.
Yeah, especially, you know, this is the type of stuff that we just assume will get lost in licensing hell and never see the light of day. So the fact that they went back, worked with Nickelodeon, worked with Konami to put this together and get like, as much as they could.
There's a Netflix movie coming. There's Shredder's Revenge coming. Like, there's a whole bunch of Ninja Turtle stuff going on at the end of this year. Like, this is a great time to do this, to get people, you know, I don't know if, like, Netflix has any, and we never hear about this, but, you know, like, if Netflix has any influence on this, or if the Konami board is like, hey, like, we got this stuff sitting here. We need, like, to your point, like you've always been talking about it, like we're still kind of coming out of the pandemic a little bit. We need something like, I hate to use this term but it's a property I enjoy, but we need a cash grab. And like, this is a cash grab. It's a nostalgic cash grab, but at the same time, it's 13 games for $40. Like, so like I'm okay with this. Because of how much is in there versus what we've seen sometimes of like, oh, we remastered the game and we put his hat on backwards instead of forwards and it's $70.
Well, yeah, and especially for this one, like it's Digital Eclipse that are putting it together. They did the recent Disney classics, the Aladdin, Lion King,
and
Jungle
people
Book.
Like that.
Yeah, it was really good work.
The rewind feature is kind of cool, especially like again for me playing with Owen, like. Just to be able to rewind if something like awful happens, you know. Like.
Oh, here's what would make people feel even better about this. It's from the people that put together the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, which is something I praise like way too often, in terms of being like a cool museum piece to own.
Yeah.
So this is perfect. Put this summer along with that that Capcom fighting game collection, and
Yeah.
you're just in like retro goodness for that. So that was, the highlight of the event for me, which but
I was able to show my brother this trailer. My brother doesn't really play video games very much more. He still does, and my nephews do. But I was able to show my brother this trailer. He's 10 years older than me. It was one of his sons, my nephew, that got married. And just to show him the trailer, he's like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, I remember those games. Like, those were fun." So he's like, talking to one of his other boys, like, "You guys are buying this, right? Because I'm totally playing this." Like,
yeah, no, yeah, this is perfect for those.
And I love that it's called Cowabunga Collection.
Yeah, I'm just hoping like to do a stupid collector's edition, like just do one.
Don't do that. If they put it like in the van, in the turtle van, like, oh no, I can't.
Oh, like that box set. Yeah.
Like,
but even if they just give a little diecast, a little Hot Wheels van to come with it,
because Ansel's gonna get mad because I'm gonna buy it all. So.
Yeah. Returnal's getting a co-op mode and a Sisyphus mode. I wasn't expecting Returnal to be getting co-op.
Me neither, and I'm totally gonna go back and play it now with a friend. So.
Yeah, get someone like Johnny as a boy who's like just
super leveled up and
shooters.
just blow through everything.
Yeah.
Like...
and then Square Enix. This basically was just the Square Enix show, because there's Strangers in Paradise, there's Forspoken, and then they have Diofield Chronicle, which is a strategy RPG coming in 2022 or this year. And then we got Valkyrie Elysium, which is like an older franchise. That's also coming in 2022. So Square bringing a lot of RPGs out this year, like old school RPGs, to the Switch and to the PlayStation. There's Switch exclusive ones, and then you have PlayStation console exclusive ones coming out as well. So Square Enix is, I don't know if it's just like Avengers failed so bad that they're just like, okay, we got to go into high gear and just produce the stuff that makes money and doesn't cost a ton. But Square Enix definitely seems like to be going in a higher gear right now to try and make up for probably what they feel are shortcomings in their Western developed studios. Because,
everything. Oh, it's made in the West. It didn't sell 10 million copies. It's a failure.
Because they just released for Babylon's Fall, which was bad, but that was a Platinum Games, and Platinum is so hit or miss with what they do.
Or miss lately a lot.
Yeah, mostly a lot, which is cute because I think we talked about them talking about like, we want the Bungie deal, and being like, that's cute. But also,
game at this generation.
Strangers of Paradise Final Fantasy reviews have been kind of all over the place, but it sounds pretty solid, so that will probably be pretty successful for them. And then seeing what they're trying to do the rest of the year on Switch and PlayStation at least shows that Square is putting a ton of effort into kind of going back to their core, the thing that made them with these like RPG games. But that was pretty much a state of play. I've probably missed a few things, but those are the things that...
Okay. Why did that just happen?
Don't know what happened. But still good. Still recording.
So yeah, just give it like 5 seconds and just go back to that was the state of play.
So that was the state of play. This would be really fun for the YouTube upstream. I don't edit. But yeah, that was the state of play. So we could Dave's just like, why'd you do that? But I'm gonna do it. So that was the state of play. The next bit of story, which is I put in here just because we technically should have covered this last week, but it was really entertaining, and I know Dave loves this sort of thing. But you
mean I love a game being announced 5 years ahead of time?
Yeah. So Star Wars Eclipse,
from a studio that takes 10 years to make games.
Yes, yeah. So Star Wars Eclipse, the Quantic Dream game, it came out about a week and a half ago, and other people confirmed it. That's not set to be released until 2027 or 2028. This was announced last year in a PlayStation showcase, and it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a while. So apparently,
like a PS6 game Yes.
The reports are basically
a stretch to say
Yeah,
that.
no.
It's not a
No,
stretch.
it's not. It's not. We're talking about like 5 to 6 years away. So currently, there's been several reports. I forget, the first report was from like a Star Wars focused site, and then Jeff Grubb followed up on it. Basically, Quantic Dream is having an issue where people just don't want to work for them. Couple things that play into that is
David Cage is an ass.
yes, David Cage is kind of an ass. They just got done dealing with a bunch of lawsuits about workplace culture. And then also there's a heavy competition right now for talent. So it's really difficult for them to put together a recruitment anything because of all the other stuff, all the other baggage on the studio. So they want people to work for them, but people are getting better offers other places. So Dave, if you just want to
I mean,
complain
I guess if
about
the game
this.
is this far away, the first annoyance I have is with Sony or whomever decided to put this in a state of play or in a showcase, and give it I'd have to go back and look at the announcement, but give it enough of more than just like a trailer at the end of saying like work in progress or something. Like, because when I always think back to like when we knew like Uncharted 4 was in development and then Sony confirmed it, they're like, hey, this is a while, but it's a thing. Like I felt like they were pretty upfront with that, of something everybody wanted to see. And then I'm not saying that like verbatim that they did a good job with that, but okay, like we've always been talking about for the last couple months, do we need more Star Wars games? I don't know. Do we need this many Star Wars games going on at one time? Probably not. Do we need one that's coming out in 8 years? No.
Yeah, so I was listening to Jeff Grubb's podcast, and basically what he found out is LucasArts didn't want to put the trailer out.
Okay.
But Quantic Dream was like, we need to put this out here as basically a recruitment tool.
That's not how I don't agree with public recruiting either.
Yeah, so apparently there's a little bit of back and forth between LucasArts and Quantic Dream of like, we really want to put this trailer out so we can get people interested. And it's something we've been noticing more and more. I think we've mentioned that before about trailers being used to recruit people
to the
NDA, studio.
Then.
Yeah.
Do it under an NDA. But I guess at the same time, to your point, like what we're seeing is that people go, oh, Quantic Dream's making a new game. Cool. Oh, Quantic Dream's making a Star Wars game. I want to make that. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I get it. Now the problem you're running into is that nobody wants to work for Quantic Dream.
Yeah, and that's a difference. If Quantic Dream approaches somebody before this announcement, they might just get rejected immediately because they see the email is from Quantic Dream. But if Quantic Dream says we're working on Star Wars and then emails people, someone might be willing to listen to the conversation and then debate on like whether they can work for the studio or not. Mm-hmm. So to your point earlier, I totally agree with like, I wish PlayStation did a little bit more of, or not PlayStation, like Xbox, Nintendo, when they put these things together, I wish they would do more vetting on like, when is this coming out? I guess Nintendo kind of does that because they literally tell you like, this is for the first half of the year. This is for the second half of the year. So it might just be like an Xbox and PlayStation issue of just putting stuff out there way too soon. Like I didn't put it in the news just because it was still coming out and I was hoping there would be more background to it. But the initiative with the Perfect Dark thing, apparently the last 12 months, they've lost a majority of their core development team, which makes sense why they reached out to Crystal Dynamic last year. But that just sounds like this game is even further out than we imagined. So it's kind of on Xbox for announcing way too soon, but they did that as a recruitment tool to bring people in. And then this just leads to frustration and confusion from
But I feel like, I guess maybe I don't understand the inner workings of the video game industry, but I feel like there's enough rumblings and conversations happening. Like, hey, Quantic Dream's doing Star Wars. Like, check it out. Like, there's enough of that kind of going around. But maybe not, because, like, I don't like what WB did with Suicide Squad 2 years ago. And now it's not coming in 2022, which is fine, but I just don't get it. And then the reverse of it is we see something like the collection that we're getting with Cowabunga, the collection or whatever, that's like, it's March, hey, it'll be out this year. Will it make it out this year? I don't know. Like, but or Nintendo, like they just did a direct like 2 weeks ago, and there's stuff that's out from that direct. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's just weird, and I guess I get it, but I still hate it.
Yeah, I wonder if we're just seeing it more because of the pandemic, because people are just working from home, so there isn't a GDC gathering where you just have
Yeah.
everyone in the industry in a hotel lobby and someone's just like, "Yo, we're working on this." So they just have to, put the trailer out there and just see what happens. Quantic Dream is based in France, so maybe the development world is 90% Ubisoft, so they're
Mhm.
like, "Okay, we can't talk to those employees because they're under contract, but if we put a trailer out on YouTube, them employees can look and then maybe, come over, or, other people can come to France to work on a Quantic Dream game."
Yeah.
But this is crazy that it's like, if you told me like, hey, this is coming out 2024, 2025, I would
Yeah.
feel like, okay,
2027,
sure.
28 really means 2028, 29.
Yeah. Yeah, because you got to build in delays for all this stuff. And who knows, like, even if you're Quantic Dream, do you even know if like, yes, the Star Wars franchise will live forever, but will we be peak burned out by then? Because that was a concern we were having
Mhm.
when this game was first announced, because we named like 6 Star Wars games in development that are going to release within the next 2 to 3 years.
The
So
only thing that might save this is if there is some story arc or story area that Star Wars franchise has not gone into in the movies or in a television show that this would then expand upon. Like
this is supposed to be the High Republic, which is the thing I think Disney is really pushing for
Okay.
right now. But Disney's pushing for that right now.
Right.
Like, what's it going to look like in 6 years? What if the High Republic stuff doesn't work, and then they're just like, okay, you guys want Luke Skywalker, and then they just go back to
Yeah.
basics.
Like I said, this is if they could get, and it would have to be like a significant series over like to your point, over like 12, 18, 24 months. If they could get a Mandalorian style storyline going, that then Quantic Dreams puts the cherry on top of this story. That would be like the only thing that would save it. But I wonder what Lucas feels like. LucasArts feels of like 2028. Like, to your point, if it is the High Republic, like, okay, we're done with that in 2024. Holiday 2024, we're done with that. You're talking about holiday 2027 at the earliest. Like, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah,
Like,
it sounds for the most part like LucasArts is kind of just pay to play, where if you want to pitch them something and they don't have to put an investment in, you could just throw money at them, be like, we want to do this thing. They're like, fine, knock yourself out. But this does feel like something that's just waiting to be canceled.
mm-hmm.
Like, in 2-3 years, we're going to be like, oh, they canceled Eclipse because it just wasn't viable anymore. Either Disney and LucasArts cancels it, or Quantic Dream is just like, this just isn't feasible. We're going to go do smaller games or do something.
And this makes them, if something like that happens or they run into a development issue, this makes them, I hate to use this term, but this makes them vulnerable for a purchase. Like, okay, we're screwed. Like, we don't have any money. Like, we'll buy you, and we'll buy your IP and your contract for Star Wars, and now that just extends the time frame for the game to come out.
But I would also say, I think they wouldn't be vulnerable to purchase, because I don't think any company is going to be like, yeah, we want David Cage and his team.
I guess
over.
more vulnerable for like a purchase to become purchasable, like at a price that other companies might be willing to pay, to be like, hey, you know what? I'll pay this much, and Mr. Cage, you get this much to go away.
Potentially, yeah. If the Quantic Dream name means something by 2028,
right?
Because there's a chance it just means nothing, and then you just have PlayStation being like, we'll adopt Heavy Rain again, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next bit of news, which is a little bit better news. Dead Space, they recently did a live stream where they talked about the audio design. It was about 20 minutes, but they have set like a roadmap for like, in May, they're going to do an art design one, and there'll be more streams in the future. But the good thing is, it is set for a 2023 release. So internally, EA was hoping for this year, but they never announced it.
Mm-hmm.
And then now they are going for a 2023 release. So this is just basically a health check on Dead Space, and it's looking fine. It's looking good.
Yeah, I mean, this is, not setting a release date, saying, hey, we're working on it, and then being transparent, getting out in front of it and saying, hey, like, it's not coming this year, I think is good. And it's very not EA.
Yeah. Especially with these like monthly streams where there's like, hey, we're gonna look 20 minutes, we're gonna break this down like piece by piece, where it's like, here's an audio stream, here's a, here's a art stream coming. So it seems like EA is actually taking their time with it. It sucks that Visceral isn't working on this because they shut them down years ago. But Motive might be able to finally put a game out. That would be nice. But it seems like they're actually putting some care into this. So hopefully EA doesn't make us sound silly when they release this next year and it's in a different condition than we would want. But that was just a health check on Dead Space, and this other one will make Dave so happy. Gotham Knights has a release date of October 25th.
Not in love with the date, but I'm not in love with the date, but happy it has a date. But then at the same time, when I think about it more, the reason why I initially wasn't in love with the date is because it's so close to November, and typically November gets bogged down with Call of Duty, Battlefield, and Assassin's Creed, and that ain't happening.
So, no Assassin's Creed, no Battlefield. There will be a Call of Duty. I don't think PlayStation's going to have a big first-party thing out this holiday, so Gotham, this is probably the best chance, because if it slipped into March of next year, PlayStation would probably have something big. Xbox would hopefully have something big. I was
hoping for like the summer, but
but I'm wondering, because this is out in October, we do have a state of play for Hogwarts Legacy in a day or two. Hogwarts Legacy, do you think that slips into 2023 then? This is an October Warner Brothers game?
Yeah, it's either going to slip into 2023 or they're going to surprise us and say like July.
Yeah, this gets the summer release that you wanted for Gotham Knights.
But I'm just happy it's got a date. And if the story is good, like based on, I know it's I think it's Rocksteady Montreal, it's not Rocksteady. But if the story is good and it has all of the elements from the Batman Arkham series games in terms of the way the combat flows and how stuff works and the co-op works, like this has the potential to coming out in October to be very heavily in the conversation for a game of the year. Yes, Horizon's out. Yes, Elden Ring's out. But typically, the longer you get away from something, as you start, like you're talking about October 25th, and then Game Awards being like December 10th, like in terms of like that window of stuff being fresh in the front of people's minds. Like this has a chance to kind of hang out and be part of the conversation.
Yeah, I could see this kind of going into that what we saw Guardians of the Galaxy kind of fit into for last year, where it wasn't at many people's number one, but it was at like 3 to 5 on top 10 lists.
In the conversation of like, hey, like not game of the year, but game you need to play.
Yeah, game that you need to play, game that surprised you, sort of thing. It could easily get into, and it has the benefit of co-op, which we've said for years. Co-op tends to make you overlook bad things in a game or shortcomings.
I'm laughing with my buddy. I don't care that I fell through the level twice.
Yeah. You got a bunch of Robins running around and you're doing stupid stuff. You can sometimes release a buggy co-op game, and that just makes it more fun for people. So Gotham Knights, probably a good time to release it, because they probably, to your point, they don't want to get lost in the game of the year thing, but also more specifically, they probably want to be closest to holiday shopping for this, because it has the Batman logo on the box.
Gotham, the word Gotham.
Especially I think literally like the bat signal is like their box art title. So they definitely will benefit from being a Batman thing.
Yeah, for sure.
During that time. And then the Blu-rays kind of come out. The Blu-rays come out too fast, so the Batman Blu-ray will already be like available.
What is it usually 4 months after release?
Yeah, though they've been real quick lately, so there's a chance it'll be out way sooner than that. So let's get into February NPDs, which is something we don't really talk about, but this month was actually pretty interesting because
Xbox, PlayStation. No, I'm kidding, but they did.
Nintendo won. Nintendo always wins.
I know.
But this was very interesting because we were worried about games kind of occupying the same space. We had 3 huge open world games come out last month. We had Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, and Dying Light 2. And I would say, based on this chart, they all did pretty damn well. So just going off of it, Elden Ring took the top spot. Horizon Forbidden West was number 2. Pokemon took 3rd in its second month. and then Dying Light took number 4, which I would say is pretty respectable for Dying Light 2. With these coming out.
Yeah, and then keep in mind, like number 2 and number 3 were both platform exclusive games. I won't say console exclusive, but platform exclusive.
Yeah, 2 and 3
there's
were
2 versions of us. There's 2 Switches in the market now. There's PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Elden Ring is on everything, and Dying Light 2 is on everything.
And I believe this Pokemon was just one Pokemon game. It wasn't 2 Pokemon games that get counted together.
Yeah.
So it condensed that, which I wonder if it was 2 separate ones, if it would have taken number 1 like it usually does, like a couple months in a row. So that was the top 4. Rounding out, Total War Warhammer 3 took number 5. Call of Duty Vanguard took 6. Madden took 7. Mario Kart took 8. FIFA took 9. Minecraft took 10. And then mentioned Miles Morales, number 11. Miles Morales is something that's been sticking around in the top 20 since it released.
Yeah.
Which is, I would love to hear the updated numbers on Miles Morales by itself, especially as PS5 continues to sell. But some crazy things. Elden Reign
is Witch Queen in there at all?
No, Witch Queen, because Bungie would have to share those numbers. So Activision Blizzard doesn't share BattleNet numbers,
right?
And PlayStation counts expansion packs differently than full title releases. Okay, yeah. So it would be hard for them to quantify that.
Like it's charted on Steam, but I mean, that's because there's different. Like to your point, there's different versions of the Witch Queen also, which makes it hard. But I was just wondering, just because, like, we knew there was 1 million pre-orders. Like, when does that? Do those count? Like, when it comes out, or do they count when they're pre-ordered? Like, I don't know. So.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll probably hear in a month. Like, it's gonna hit right now. Witch Queen is probably at like 1.5 million, and they're like, if we wait a couple more weeks, we'll hit 2 million.
1.75 million players.
Yeah, they're trying to hit like a magic number, and then they'll be happy. Yeah. Okay, so. The Elden Reign, which came out, when did Elden Ring come out like exactly?
The 20th, I think, 19th or 20th of February.
So Elden Ring is the best-selling game of the year so far, through NPDs. So, holy shit, is Elden Ring like a big boy? Like this is like From Software's first like big game. Like Souls and Bloodborne have always done respectively, but this one has blown up to just like a completely another level that it's now the best-selling game. Granted, we're only 2 months into the year at the time, but the fact that it was able to beat a Pokemon game overall for best-selling game of this year is pretty impressive. It also, in the same, if you do a 12-month period going back, it is the 5th best-selling game during that 12-month period. So, and its launch month was only beaten by Call of Duty Vanguard. Mm-hmm. So Elden Ring performing like crazy, which is something that I just kind of didn't expect. Like I expected it to be number 1, but I didn't expect it to be like
it's definitely riding the coattails of getting a lot of, Bloodborne, Sekiro. Like they've established a significant foundation of ability to entice players, and then hearing things out there amongst people are like, oh, it's does, even though it does do it, but it's like, oh, it's not gonna whip your ass that bad, even though it does. You can run away, it's okay, even though you really can't. Like, so there's the part that I'm seeing that love-hate on social media with people talking about it. They're like, I'm so irritated, and they're like, but then 3 hours later, like, I did it, like, like, and that if you can get that circle going, like, you obviously can be successful and sell. It's like the following on Twitch and YouTube is very high. I'm seeing a lot of people, like, again, like the Destiny community that I follow are like, okay, I've gone hardcore on Destiny for a couple weeks. All right, time to dial it back a little bit. All right, what's out there I need to play? Elden Ring. Like that, and it's there, and it's always gonna be there. Like,
also,
it's gonna be a good sales number for a while. I think it's gonna win March probably.
So Elden Ring came out the 25th, and 25th, February's a 28.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah.
So it dominated.
It's gonna win March too then.
3 days. At this point, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it sold that well. Horizon Forbidden West did also really well. It just had the unfortunate thing of had something more popular.
Well, and again, it's a platform exclusive. Like you're already kind of limiting is a bad word, but you're already narrowing your install base.
Yeah. But to Horizon Forbidden West credit, it was the best-selling PlayStation game. Elden Ring was number 2.
Yep.
And it set the launch month record for sales for the PS5. I wonder how they account for that, because there was the free upgrade.
Oh no, because you have to buy it on PS5 only, and you could pay $70 and be a dummy because consumers are stupid.
Yeah, I would just love to see the breakdown of like how many people. It sounds like a lot of people just bought it on PS5 instead of doing the free upgrade on PS4, because they kind of hid that information.
Still buying physical media that was selling PS5 boxes, and and the average consumer is gonna walk into a store, see the PS4 box, and see the PS5 box. I don't have PS4 anymore. Let me get this one.
Yeah, and the PlayStation store didn't do a good job showing that. You had to go on the website to see like all the options. Yeah. But Horizon sold really well. I mean, it's expected. The last one sold.
Horizon came out like the 20th. I'm sorry, or the 18th. Yeah. So
yeah. But Horizon, the first one, Zero Dawn, sold roughly 20 million copies. So you knew this one was going to do well, and it would have been a slam dunk for number 1 if it wasn't for Elden Reign. But Horizon will probably stick around in NPDs for a couple months, especially as more people get hands on PS5s. It'll probably benefit like a Miles Morales, where it'll stick around for quite a bit. Especially a lot of people probably chose Elden Ring over Horizon, and then will pick up Horizon in the future, because they were only about a week and a half apart. So you had a lot of people. I made that decision.
Or vice versa. They picked up Horizon to then pick up Elden Ring, or they picked up Elden Ring to then get Horizon later.
Or you're like Stefan and you just pick up both around the same time. And
he responded to.
Yeah. Check out the Facebook group if you want to see the response to our question from last week, or answers for a question from last week. But yeah, that was the NPDs. Anything else stick out to you on this? I mean, I was just kind of happy Dying Light didn't disappear.
Yeah, I mean, the console thing, I've been seeing a whole bunch of stuff about the console numbers of Xbox beating PlayStation, and it's probably, to be honest with you, it's probably the Series S. And they're just grouping it all together, because to Michael's point, you can put 6 S's in a box compared to 2 X's, and get it out. The $300 price point, and PlayStation is suffering from the chip shortage that I don't think the Series S uses.
No, I mean the chip shortage is for everything, but it's just a matter of
a hardware company in Microsoft versus a not hardware company in Sony.
You might have that backwards, but either way, at least they've been able to allocate enough resources for the S, and I do think the shipping thing is like a huge part of that. So Nintendo still won that month though, and that's just because like any store I've walked into, there's been so many Switches just there, and they still sell, clearly. But yeah, so that was February NPDs. I just thought it was kind of interesting because we were just so curious on like how the month was going to shake out.
What was going to hurt what, and nothing really hurt anything. If your game came out in January, you're screwed. It's like
you're completely forgotten. And honestly, I can't think of what came out in January right now.
I mean, the only thing that comes to mind right away is Nobody Saves the World, and they already got money from Game Pass. So.
Yeah. Now I'm just like, what came out in January? But I have no idea. I don't even know what comes out next month, to be completely honest. Like, basically, as far as I'm concerned, like,
it gets pretty
all the
dry.
Game of the Year stuff. All the Game of the Year stuff already happened with Elden Ring Horizon out.
You have companies have a great 12-week window right now, like an amazing 12-week window. I don't know anybody that's going to be able to get in there, but like
now I'm curious. Well, Forspoken moved away from it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have now until like Memorial Day. Like, you got a really good window. But while he's looking that up, so and also nothing has been delayed. So,
Gran Turismo came out in March, just last week.
Yeah. So I mean, but I'm talking about like from now, like April and May is bleak, like empty.
I'm like going through it. Ghostwire Tokyo will have a chance to do something in this.
What is the date for that?
Time?
March.
March 25th.
Yeah. Okay, but still,
March
April
25th.
and May are just ghost town.
I'm going through April. Like, MLB will probably have a really fun time now that baseball is coming back. Switch Sports will probably own April then. That will be the April game. And then if I go to May, Evil Dead is out in May.
Keep going,
And,
man. Like,
June, we just have the Capcom Fighting Collection and Mario Strikers.
yeah, which means that's gonna chart automatically.
July has Klonoa
It's
remake, and then August has Saints Row.
yeah, like it's ugly. Like it's
Y-
bad until Gotham.
Yeah, October it's Forspoken and Gotham
Knights.
Knights.
But it's bad. I mean, you're talking
Yeah.
Easter or April Fools to October 1.
Yeah, because Forspoken's October 11th, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
Like,
yeah, it's a huge
it's
gap.
rough.
If Microsoft can get their act together and get one of their games before
Hellblade
Starfield
can get
comes
in there
out,
somewhere, like
yeah, because then Starfield's November, and that's looking like
no, I'll tell you, like April Fools to October 10th, huge window.
Yeah,
Huge.
Nintendo just gonna surprise release a bunch of games during that time. Oh, Kirby comes out in March too.
Zelda.
Nintendo's gonna have a hell of a sprint.
Yeah, no, but I know, but like February, March are packed, but then it's empty, and that's why I was so. Excuse me. That's why I was so disappointed with the Forspoken delay, because they were in a great spot.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm sure they were pissed about that. So, nothing's been delayed because nothing's coming out. like we just talked about. So then what we're playing and watching. So we recorded on Tuesday, and I left for North Carolina on Wednesday. I did take my PlayStation with me, but I didn't get a ton of time. I just messed around with some Destiny Crucible stuff for the most part. Things I was just kind of doing solo. But I went to a wedding for my nephew. So saw some of my family, some of his side of the family, or the kid side of the family, and just had a good time hanging out, got to see my son, my oldest son, and my daughter. One was home on spring break, and then came to North Carolina. The other one's now home on spring break after coming to North Carolina, so that's always nice, as getting ready for my oldest son's wedding in June. So they got to see a wedding, kind of see how things are going, maybe get some ideas or get some more stuff solidified. And didn't really watch a whole lot of stuff either, just because I was busy. There is for DDG, by the time you're listening to this, if you're listening to it really, really early on Thursday, you might be fine. But we did, and shame on me, it just snuck up on me, but we are doing an NCAA tournament bracket. It's like $20, $25 to the winner of the bracket of a gift card of your choice. If you want an Applebee's gift card, that's fine. If you want an Apple gift card, sure. Nintendo, Switch, PlayStation, whatever you want, we'll figure it out. So if you're listening to this, the audio version, and you want to go fill a bracket out, go do it like right now. If it's afternoon on Thursday, when you're listening to this, then it's too late because the tournament's already started. It's just a fun thing to do. No big deal. If you do it, if you don't, it's fine. Yeah. Other than that, that's pretty much it.
For me, it's just been a ton of Elden Ring. Sarah actually started to play Elden Ring, and she's playing as a magic character, sorcerer character. I forget exactly what the class is called. Since I'm heavily melee focused, it's been interesting to see how that class handles most of the bosses, and sometimes makes me feel like I made a terrible mistake, because it's nice to just be able to stand back from the enemies as opposed to being like, I gotta stab this dude in the face. So
are you stuck in that character direction, or can you start grinding a different direction?
You can learn different things and kind of respec your character as needed. But I'm kind of stubborn and have put so much. It would kind of be like a big.
Noticed that. So
yeah, it would be kind of a big undertaking for me to just switch over to something else.
It's a behavior change too, from what you're used to, like a way you're used to comfortable playing a game. Like,
yeah, so I'm basically watching Elden Ring twice, but I'm at the point now where I think I'm not done grinding. I'm only like level 43 or 45, but I am actually taking on bosses and stuff like that. So I've basically been cleaning that first region up in terms of going to all the different ruins and dungeons and caves and just taking out all of those bosses. Still realized and didn't correct the fact that I'm doing so much of this out of order. But at a certain point, I was like, you know what? I've gone this far. Let me just keep going on this path where I'm just like, all right, I see that. I'm going to clear that no matter how long it takes. I did find like a way to cheese a lot of the bosses because you can summon creatures. So I've been summoning a dog that basically poisons enemies. and they will just slowly die. So that's been a great way to cheese bosses to where dog poisons them, and then I just have to play runaway, and then eventually the person just falls over and dies. That's really great. That's been like the best way to handle stuff for me. Um, but that's pretty much all I've been playing. I've been wanting to play other things, but just haven't I just haven't had the motivation to switch off of Elden Ring because it's still holding my attention. In terms of watching, I've been obsessed, even though there's only 2 episodes, but the Winning Time, the Rise of the Lakers Dynasty on HBO, has been really entertaining. It finds a nice balance of like it is a comedy series first, but they feel like they are going to be capable of brushing up against like more sensitive topics as the show progresses. So I've been really enjoying the hell out of the show. And it's been making me want to go look at the Bird Magic HBO documentary that was from a while ago, and just kind of dive into sports documentaries just to kind of compare like how accurate they are being, what liberties they're taking with it. But it's really good. John C. Reilly's so good as Dr. Buss.
Yeah, I've been seeing
in
a
the
lot
show.
of advertisements for that, so I do need to. Is that a? I didn't hear you if you said it. Is that a series or is it just a like a long documentary?
It's a series.
Okay.
It's an actual TV show. I love the way they shot it to where sometimes it just looks really old timey, and then other times it looks like an actual regular TV show. But it's really stylish how they manage to make everything just look old,
right?
With the way they shot everything. So I've been kind of obsessed with that. It's only 2 episodes in, but it's one of those shows where I'm like tempted to just like, let me rewatch that first episode, and go back and enjoy it a little bit more.
Awesome.
So watching that, and then that's pretty much it. It's just been a lot of Elden Ring. Like I said last week, maybe I would like go back to Dying Light or do something else, but Elden Ring is just really entertaining. And I haven't even touched like the co-op aspect, even though my friends keep messaging me being like, let me know when you're on. And I'm just like, I kind of like this to be like a brutal single player game as opposed to inviting my overpowered friends to come in and then wreck shop.
Yeah, I'm at the point, like, I'm sure people have been rolling their eyes with as much Destiny as I've been playing, but I haven't really, like, the last week or 10 days, I haven't been playing a ton just because of traveling and everything like that. And then I just got promoted at my job. So I get to run my own building now, which is fantastic. But it's also going to be a little time-consuming and a little stressful until I get my new footing and my new bearings at this new position. So I desperately want to start Horizon just because I don't like the longer I wait, the more the story from the first one kind of fades. And the whole reason I played the first one when I did was so that it was fresh for me. But I also don't want to be in a state of mind where I'm not ready to start Horizon, if that makes sense. Like, I want to be able to give it the attention it deserves, and I don't have to pay that much attention to Destiny right now. Like, it's just an easy comfort thing for me to play and work on things and passively work on things in the background. And I get to hang out with my friends. And we're still not even a month out from Witch Queen, so like, so it's just interesting. But I think maybe I'll try to squeeze something in before Horizon, whether it's like Death's Door, just something that I can pick up and play and get through, just to kind of get me going on the games again. But it's just. And like we've been talking about even in this episode, I'm like, I'm not in this huge hurry because what am I going to be doing in March, April, May, and June?
Yeah, and I think that's why I haven't moved on from Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I'm going to beat Elden Ring. Like, I have no intention to see credits in that game. But I want to drag it out as much as I can because once Elden Ring's done, there's nothing else I really want to play at this point.
Yeah. All right, so questions and comments using hashtag AskDigitalDays. So you can send us those on Twitter. You can post them in the Discord channel. You can post them on Facebook. You can comment on them when Michael asks for questions. So Steven Legler, list or ETA of the upcoming large open world RPG games like Dying Light 2, Horizon Forbidden West, and Elden Ring are out. What's the plan for the others? He's referring to the Fallout series, the Assassin's Creed series, and the Elder Scrolls. So we know that Elder Scrolls 6 or 7? Which one is it? 6?
It's 6.
6.
6.
We know that's a thing.
Yeah, and I think they said 2026.
Yeah,
I think was like the target date.
So that's a while.
And that was announced like 3 years ago.
We've heard rumblings about Fallout stuff, haven't we?
Yeah, there was something not too recent that basically like Microsoft was kind of talking about potentially doing a Fallout New Vegas 2 or a Fallout New Vegas remastered, and not having Bethesda do it, having one of their other Microsoft studios taking it. Yeah. Potentially Obsidian, though Obsidian's busy, but Obsidian would be obviously your choice. They made Fallout New Vegas. Like, they would be crazy not to ask them at first.
And then Assassin's Creed just brought out their own Ragnarok thing?
Yeah, their own expansion.
Yeah.
They're doing... So, Assassin's Creed is the weirdest one because basically they're doing an extra year of, like, year 2 of DLC for Valhalla. It took me a while to get that. They're doing year 2 of Valhalla DLC because they had previously announced that they were doing like a live service Assassin's Creed game that I have a feeling they're going to end up walking back eventually. I just don't have faith in it.
I feel like a feeling that we're going to get something similar to how Destiny releases stuff, where you might get things seasonally from Assassin's Creed, like little story bits, just to keep the player engaged over the course of time. And I think that they're realizing that trying to bring out an Assassin's Creed every 12 months of the scope of Valhalla, Odyssey, etc., is severely challenging and hurting their studios heavily. But doing something where you get a Valhalla and then you get some stuff to fill the gaps in until the Assassin's Creed Valhalla : something comes out, and then to do a different Assassin's Creed. So like, I think we're going to get Assassin's Creed as a service. I don't think we're going to get it as Fortnite, Destiny, Apex service. Like,
yeah, I have a weird feeling that, so I feel like they're going like the opposite direction of what EA was trying to do with Star Wars, where they started off by being like 1313. We're going to do, it was 1313, and then it was that Motive game, the Amy Hennig one, where they're like, we're going to do a crazy, gigantic third-person action adventure game, and then they're like, that's too hard. Let's do another Battlefront. And then they did another Battlefront. That didn't work, and they're like, okay, let's go back to the action adventure thing, but let's not do a crazy big scale, and that's how we ended up with Jedi Fallen Order. I have a feeling Ubisoft is kind of following that path, where they're starting with the the live service game, and then they're going to be like, that's not going to work. Let's move down to what we know best, and it's going to be just a regular Assassin's Creed game, or to your point, like kind of smaller seasonal expansions. Though in the past, I would feel like video game developers and publishers would say each time they release content, less and less people buy that content for that thing. So that's just where I think Ubisoft's going to run into problems, where they're just going to end up wasting a couple of years of Assassin's Creed. It's better for them to release
another disc that's not called Assassin's Creed Valhalla 2 than it is for them to release, to make it Assassin's Creed whatever, another one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I have a feeling they're going to find that out the hard way, and they're going to waste a couple years.
So it's my biggest fear with Suicide Squad. Like, the idea sounds amazing, but then, like, how do you pull off a games it's similar to what Avengers is facing with Square Enix.
I was just going to bring it up.
How do you pull off something like that when you have to fight? How do you get loot and player incentive to continue to keep going to the game?
And they were doing free content, hoping you would do microtransactions.
Yep. Like, the scope and the idea for Suicide Squad is fantastic, but I feel like something in the Assassin's Creed world could work a little bit better, because they can just do whatever they want, because they don't have the DC timeline to follow. They don't have the Marvel timeline to follow. Like, Fortnite and The Division and Destiny, they can just be like, well, we can just do whatever the hell we want. Do we want to create a new race of enemies for them to shoot at? Sure, we can do that. You try to do that in a DC game, people are like, what the hell is that?
Well, and especially, like, you'll kind of start, you saw that a little bit with Avengers, where it's like, by the time they got to Spider-Man, they're just like, yeah, he's just here, and there's like some little, here's some like cutscenes that aren't really like impressive compared to the first time they released content for Hawkeye or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I worry with Suicide Squad.
You can only kill so many anvil people. Like,
yeah, but I feel like when you get to Suicide Squad, it's gonna be like, oh, that first expansion was super detailed, and by the time they get to like the last section of that live service game, they're gonna be like, yeah, here's a crocodile guy.
Yeah,
like
I don't even
no
feel
story,
like they can
nothing.
make a new villain though. Like if you're gonna supposedly fight Superman as like a raid like boss, like you're gonna run out of characters. Like.
No, that's what I mean. So where they're going to be like, hey, you fought Superman in the main game, and you fought Batman in the first DLC, and then they're going to get to the fourth DLC, and it's going to be like, yeah, here's Crocodile.
Batman reincarnated.
Yeah,
hell, and that's coming from a guy that in Destiny that's killed the same thing 100 times, and they reincarnate him 4 years later. They're going to do it again with Oryx in the next 6 or 8 months, and I'm going to play it, but at least that's like 7 years old. Like
Suicide Squad's going to be like, and finally, the biggest boss we've ever had, Calendar Man, and you'd be like, what the fuck? I don't know. I don't care.
You get Mr. Freeze from Batman Returns with the Arnold voice.
That would be dope. That would be dope. That would be good. That would be a good thing to do. That would be a good idea. Instead, we're just gonna get like whatever C-list villain the Flash TV show is on right now.
Yeah,
we'll get that.
All right, so Spotlight is the Uncharted movie review episode with my wife and I for February Patreon. That's on patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming under the $7 tier. You can also sign up for the $5 tier there if you'd like to. That gives you the podcast 24 hours early. $3 is private Discord channel access, and $1 is just a virtual tip jar of, hey, here you go. Those are a paid way for you to support us, a way that you can support us by paying, and if you choose to do that, thank you. If you don't, that's fine. Please don't do it if you can't afford to do it. I don't want to cripple anybody's budget or finances. Ours is not that important. We're doing just fine. I just got promoted. No, kidding. But you can also like send us some, if you want to send us $1 or whatever on PayPal, feel free to do that. That's linked in there also. Again, you don't have to. But the biggest thing that you guys can do to help us is to rate and review the show with words and lots of stars, and also share the show. Tell a friend. Post it on social media. Share one of our posts on Facebook. Retweet our post on Twitter. Liking is nice. Retweeting gets more eyes on it.
Like and follow us on TikTok as well.
Yeah, TikTok, YouTube. We're kind of falling off the consistency there a little bit, but there's still content going there. We can just do a little bit of a better job as a group with that. But what motivates us to do that is to see comments and subscriptions and views.
Yeah.
So that helps. That always helps. So, I know it's been a shorter couple shows the last couple of weeks, but like to Michael's point, like he's been saying, is that there's a lot of games out there, so like everybody's playing games, and the news is kind of quiet. There's been some really cool tech releases, like Razer, has released some interesting stuff, peripheral wise, streamer wise. There's been a lot of just interesting stuff coming out in general, but the games are out, so please continue to play games, and let us know what you'd like to see us stream, so we can try to stream a little bit more. I don't think you guys want to watch me run around in circles in Destiny, so typically that's with talking to Angela or messing with Chance or something. But other than that, I hope everyone is having an awesome 2022, as it's 2.5 months into the year, and that I hope that you guys are enjoying listening to the content, and I hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick.